Imagine walking into your favorite plant shop or nursery. It's filled with plants from all around the world, including some rare species that might cost a fortune. But something's different. You appear to be in an alternate dimension because these plants are looking back at you with eyes that move, eyes that watch you, eyes that get squinty and inquisitive or wide and scared. Would you still be as eager to take one home? Or would you begin to think about plants differently? Would your favorite plant shop feel more like an exotic pet store, raising ethical concerns? As we know, putting value on animals puts them at risk for poaching in the wild. Plants are no different. Today, right now, plants are being poached from the wild and illegally sold as houseplants. Mostly online, mostly in open-air markets, and mostly to avid collectors. It's an ecological disaster fueled by society's fascination and love for plants. Plant conservation is massively underfunded, and not enough people are becoming botanists. My goal as a plant shop owner here in Baltimore is to do everything I can to help transform this love and fascination that we all have for plants into better support for their conservation in the wild and for better environmental practices within the horticultural trade. In 2009, I graduated from Earlham College with a degree in psychology. And in 2013, I finished grad school at JHU studying environmental science. I was very eager to start my career and to make a real difference. I couldn't stop thinking about how if we as humans might feel more connected to the natural world, it could really inspire people to be more passionate about the environment. One day, I was looking at my houseplants and I had a realization. If people felt more connected to nature, not just while they were outside on a walk or on vacation hiking, it could really motivate people to care more about the environment, to pick up trash, to volunteer, to make more sustainable choices in general. 4 years later, in 2017, I opened B.Willow, one of the first boutique plant shops in present-day Baltimore, and really began my quest to bring more nature into people's homes. Though more people were getting into plants before COVID, being forced to stay inside motivated virtually everyone to bring more plants into their homes. Those of us who do so know the profoundly positive impact that it has on our psyches. When we engage our senses with nature, we experience what psychologists term soft fascination. Though these experiences command our focus and attention, they do so in an effortless manner, as compared to feeling exhausted when we're scrolling through our phones or sitting behind our computer screens. When we engage our senses with nature, like watching birds or hearing the sound of rain, we are mentally restored by it. The more that I learned about all of this, the more that I really wanted to do whatever I could to share that with other people. So research has really found that these types of sensorial experiences have a really high impact on our brains. Research has correlated time in nature or time with our plants with decreased stress hormones, better focus, reduced depression, even an increase in disease-fighting white blood cells. Research has also linked a type of bacteria in soil, Mycobacterium vaccae, with elevating serotonin levels in our brains. Getting our hands in the dirt is physically changing our brain chemistry, and I think that's pretty amazing. So we know how beneficial nature is for us, mentally and physically. But what about the health of nature? Unfortunately, I've come to realize that I am part of a large-scale agricultural trade that is actively hurting the environment. Excessive waste and transport, chemical runoff, heavy use of limited natural resources like peat moss. The more I've learned about all of these different concerns, the more I want to do something about it. This industry could be doing so much better, but more people need to know how and why in order to put pressure on it to do so. When plants arrive to us, mostly from Florida, they are extremely shiny. For too long, I just assumed this was because they were grown in perfectly humid greenhouses and that they enjoyed expert care. After looking into it a bit more, we realized that this is actually because plants are regularly sprayed with an array of synthetic leaf shine products. These products are extremely hazardous, filled with chemicals, and they have some serious health concerns associated with them. Skin, eye, respiratory irritation, genetic defects, even infertility and damage to fetuses. These products recommend that they get disposed of extremely carefully because any that go into waterways can do damage to aquatic life. These products are also so toxic that they'll kill any insects that might be on the surface of the plant, which brings me to pest management. After you've bought a plant, have you ever noticed a chalky white residue on the surface of the leaves? For too long, I thought this was just hard mineral deposits on the surface of the plant. But in reality, this is also the result of synthetic sprays that are constantly applied to plants during their cultivation. In addition to this, a few months ago, my employees informed me that they've been finding small pieces of styrofoam in the soil of our potted plants instead of perlite. As a type of microplastic, styrofoam will inevitably find its way into our waterways and landscapes, proving impossible to clean up. People who have no idea that there might be styrofoam in the soil of their plants might spread some of this extra soil into their gardens outside, unaware that they've inadvertently added hundreds of 1 millimeter wide pieces of styrofoam into their yard. I asked my plant supplier about all of these concerns. He explained to me that he knows that these plants are sprayed with a variety of chemicals, but he has no idea exactly what those are, and because there are so many vendors that he works with, it would be impossible for him to list all of them out. He also had no idea that there was styrofoam in potting soil. The more that I've learned about all of this, the more I'm becoming aware that there is so much that a lot of people don't know, even within the industry. And all the while, demand on the industry itself is growing and growing, with some people just getting into plants and others suddenly realizing they've got about 100 of them. So this growing demand has also led to an increase in people who are looking specifically for very rare plants. In 2019, a friend of mine, Dr. Jared Margulies, informed me that a third of cacti face extinction, and that cacti are the 5th most threatened group of living species on Earth. When I learned about this, again, I was incredibly shocked and wanted to do something about it. In 2021, Jared introduced me to some of his colleagues at the IUCN CSSG, which is the International Union on the Conservation of Nature Cacti and Succulent Specialist Group. I expressed my desire to do whatever I could to try to raise awareness about plant poaching and to do what I could to help fundraise to support the conservation of plants in the wild. A few months later, we entered into a formal partnership together, and a new guiding thought process really began to steer my work. The sale of houseplants should help conserve plants in the wild. When a plant is considered rare or popular, its perceived value can be quite high. Social media is a huge driver of these trends, with people seeing someone with a plant that they don't have and instantly want. When someone goes and tries to find these plants, they often will do so online. Online marketplaces are not necessarily somewhere where you can guarantee ethical sourcing of your plants. You're not interacting face-to-face with these sellers. Plant poaching itself is incredibly hard to oversee, hard to monitor, and harder to detect, unless, of course, poached plants get seized at customs or a Good Samaritan reports someone. In 2020, Italian authorities recovered $1.2 million worth of stolen Copia-poa cacti, which are native to Chile, from a cacti trafficker. Because these plants were native to such a small region, about 1 to 2 square miles, and there were about 1,000 of them that had been stolen, the usual practice of sending them to a local botanical gardens just wasn't able to happen. So instead, it was decided that these cacti would be sent back to Chile, where they came from. Dr. Getch from the IUCN spent nearly about a year trying to navigate international bureaucracy to figure out how to do so. And sadly, neither Chile nor Italy would agree to pay for any of the shipping costs associated with sending them back. In 2021, I got an email from Dr. Getch, and she explained to me that finally all of these cacti were starting to get boxed up to be sent back. However, as they were packing them, they realized that they had more boxes than they had originally anticipated. They were able to raise about $2,600 through the IUCN, but there was still about $1,000 left that they needed to find. One day she emailed me and said, "We have an opportunity to use B.Willow's donation." I had recently donated about $1,000 towards the IUCN. She said, we will be using this money to fund the extra freight that's being required to ship these cacti back. I can't really express how shocked I was that my little shop could play any sort of role in something like this. And to date, this is the largest return of cacti back to their native land ever recorded. Since then, I've continued to donate about $1 from the sale of every cactus in the shop. And it really has started to make me think, if other plant shops or nurseries were to do the same thing, think about how much of an impact we could make. And not even just financially. If every plant shop or nursery used their voice to educate their customers about plant poaching, or even about all the environmental issues associated with the horticultural trade, collectively, we could really make a huge difference. If you are a plant lover, there are a few simple things you can do to reduce your own impact. Propagate your plants, grow them yourself, and share them with your friends. If you are buying a plant, purchase from small plant shops or nurseries, and avoid big box stores. Not only will your plants generally be better taken care of, but you'll be able to ask questions and make sure you can give your plants the care that they need. If you are interested in rare plants, it's super important to know where your plants are coming from. So always ask your suppliers where their plants are from, especially if you're shopping online. Avoid synthetic pesticides and fertilizers. There are tons of really great products available these days that are made from sustainable ingredients and produced by extremely passionate small businesses who really care about the products they're making. Research your plants beyond just their care. Think about whether they were lab-created hybrids, man-made. Are they still plentiful in the wild? Do they face extinction? Consider your houseplants as symbols of their wild counterparts and the precious ecosystems they are from and that desperately need all of our support. Thank you.